Shalom everyone, this is Malaya, and I have with me today two very special people. They came all the way from what we refer to as Babylon, America. Okay, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to get their unique perspective on what they've been doing here in Israel, what they have seen, and what they have learned. Okay, so first I want to start off with Mama Florett, or Mama Florett. How are you today?
I'm good, great.
Okay. And your daughter who's sitting beside you, and I might add a very devoted daughter. From the short time that I've known you, I can see how you really treat your mother so, well, and all praises to you. Kol hakavod. Okay, and this sister's name is Atarah. Okay, here in Israel, when we say Atarah, it has to do with royalty. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you are a perfect example of that. Okay, I want to start off with what made you all want to come and visit Israel?
That's a loaded question.
Okay.
But actually it was, I guess for me, it was me who shared it with my family. It started back when I was in Bible college. I kind of was figuring out, it was a Bible college, so it was Christian, and I started to learn and read it for the first time, and I saw, oh, we're supposed to be keeping the Sabbath, we're supposed to be using His name, and I found out, who I was as Yasharal, and that's when Yahuwah gave me the passion for the Middle East, because I never,
you never dreamt you'd be here.
Right. Never, ever.
Yes,
so
I can relate to that.
So that's where it started for me, and then I shared it with my family.
You were really devoted. You went all the way to Bible college. Okay, I noticed you're steeped in the scriptures, which is a good thing, because that helps you connect the dots. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, for all of you that's listening and looking, this little guy right here is Francisco.
Yes.
Shalom, Francisco.
Hi,
What is your Hebrew name?
Francisco.
Okay.
What's your name in Abahi? Is it Abiyahu? Yeah. Okay. Abiyahu, tell me.
Okay. He's serenading us today as we do this interview. Okay. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to talk to your Ima and your Safta for a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right. So your daughter said, I want to go to Israel. What did you think, Ima?
Well, I said, at first I was like, I didn't know how we were going to be able to do that. Because, we're not, we don't have a lot of means. So,
Right.
I don't know how we would have been able to come. But certain things started happening, and the path seemed clear, that this is where we should be. Different things happening, like my lease was up in the apartment that I was in, and then
It's a good time to make the journey to visit Israel. Right.
And then my uncle passed away in London, and he left provisions in his will for whoever wanted to come, to go there. So
Wonderful.
we were able to get to London, and then from London, Atarah saw flights to Israel for like $100 and something. So
Yes.
it
made sense.
I don't know how we would have been able to get here. I'm like, it's this way. It couldn't be more obvious, that we had no way of going. Last year we were trying to come so badly and we couldn't. And this year it's just like step after step, where
The
it
Most
was
High made a
poisonous
way.
here. Yes,
Right.
it was poisonous here. So here we are.
Well, I just want to say before we get into more specific things that if it is your heart's desire, the Most High will make a way.
Yes.
He will make a way.
Yes.
You didn't know how you were going to get here, but you made it. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to sort of dive right in. You study the Bible, Atarah, and you truly understand the scriptures as they have been written. But when you got here, you immediately hooked up with Rabbi Hoshua Mariel, and he gave you a tour of southern Judea, I would say. Okay, and you visited what people would call modern day Jerusalem, but we refer to as the Jerusalem of the Amorites.
Right.
Okay. You also had an opportunity to go on a very special tour with Rabbi Hoshua Mariel, and you visited Atarah in the area that we called ancient Jerusalem, or the Jerusalem of the Jebusites. Is that correct? Okay, after visiting both places, how did it jive with you? Understanding the scriptures and the way Hoshua broke it down, the things that you saw, what stood out in your mind? Did the dots connect with the scriptures and let's start off with the Jerusalem of the Amorites. What did you see there, and how did the dots, at that time, which one did you go to first?
Well, actually, I was here in 2006, and
Okay.
I saw the Amorite Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I knew they were hiding certain things
Okay.
because they didn't take us, everywhere, and there was a lot of questions. Their favorite term was, this is what is believed, or this is what, nothing was hard and fast or fact.
Right.
Everything is, this is what we believe, this is what we think, tradition says, nothing that...
Mm-hmm. So what kind of questions were you left with in your mind? What didn't jive with you? What did you find specifically that really made you wonder?
Well, by that time I had been doing research on my family and who we were.
Mm-hmm.
So my main question was, where are we?
Mm-hmm.
How do we fit in this? I didn't see that. Nobody, made reference to that. Nobody made any allusion to, people of quote-unquote color, being in the land. So
when you refer to your family, excuse me, you're referring to the people of color, not your specific family, because a lot of people are doing the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, I'm referring to my specific family, but also, us.
Both. Mm-hmm.
Yes, as a whole, at large.
All right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So that, and I just had this overwhelming feeling that I'm being kept from something. I couldn't explain it, but I knew I felt home when I got off that plane for the first time visiting the land. I felt home. I felt it. I felt my
You felt a
spirit.
connection.
Yeah, I felt a connection. I knew I was home. But so that I didn't see any. They weren't saying anything specific. As regarding me. And I felt I had this overwhelming feeling that I'm being held back from something. They're hiding something.
Right. Right.
I
would guess. Oh, sure, certainly.
Back then in 2006, when she came, when I called and spoke to her on the phone, she's like, I have to find a way to stay here. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I don't want to come. I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back. And, she had to come. She didn't find a way then, but now how many years is that? She got a chance to come back now.
Well, it's really interesting because I've heard the same thing said about African Americans that have went back to the mother country. countries in Africa, when they got off the plane, they felt an immediate connection. So basically, many of us, most of us, have no idea where our ancestors originated. So when they get that special feeling that maybe they got when they got to Ghana, maybe that's where they were from because they felt a special connection. And maybe you or your ancestors were Hebrew Israelites, and that's why you felt a special connection when you got off the plane here. The Holy Spirit will always reveal to you the truth. Okay. So now you've been here now for a couple weeks, and you're still touring the land. What have you learned? What is your overall impression of Israel? You've been here before, but this time
I've been south. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to take people south, but my overall impression, I'm just, my eyes can't get any bigger. I'm just flabbergasted. Everything is just amazing, and one of Hoshua's favorite word is unbelievable. It really is, because it fits. It fits now. Stones are being uncovered to whereas it's satisfying that thirst of knowledge and of truth, and because there's a saying, something in the milk ain't clean. Okay, somebody's lying, something is just off. Right. So when I came here, because I already, through watching, this how I knew about Hoshua, I watched Brother Asher Ben Israel's documentary. That's a whole nother experience. Right. I fell out my chair when I saw that, because I said, oh, this is it. This is, the dream that you placed in me, 15 years ago. This is it. This is what you were talking about. Right. These are the visions, the dreams I've been having. This is it. So now that I finally get here and I can see it with my own eyes and feel the air and, taste the food, so to speak, it's, I would wish everybody who reads those scriptures, even if you don't identify, with Yasharal or Israel or, Yehuda, Judah. I mean, if you're reading this, you have to know that these are actual places. They were connected to actual people and actual, family nation of people. Right. So when you find all of these things, it's like, you have your earlooms, your grandma gave you some earrings, these are the type of things, that we're finding, these old relics.
Speaking of relics, I have been traveling with you all for the last few days, and I have to say that it has renewed in me the feeling that I had when I came here 30 years ago. The spirit of adventure, the pride, and the immense learning experience. Being here and actually being able to walk down the ancient paths, and envision yourself, how it must have been for the Hebrews back in the day to see the actual places where they crossed over. It's no longer a mystery. It's no longer a religion, but you've actually discovered your roots. It's history, and even history in the making. You being here is history in the making. Yes. Okay. Yes. So, did you find it difficult, Ima, to move around? I mean, here you are. Now, you're in a wheelchair. Yes. And here you are in Israel, touring the Holy Land, and you've been zipping around here quicker and faster than folks that's walking with two legs. And so, what is the most interesting thing that you've discovered since you've been here?
Just all of the different artifacts and things that were discovered that I can't believe it's still here. You know, like the walls around around Jerusalem. You know, it's broken down, but there's still remnants there.
Now you're speaking of the Jebusite
Yes.
Jerusalem.
Okay. Yes, the real Jerusalem. Yes. You know, and it's there. The evidence is there, and it fits what it says in the scriptures.
Yes.
You know, because when you went to the other Jerusalem of the Amorite, you know, it didn't fit. It didn't fit. It didn't look anything like it's supposed to be. It's not surrounded by mountains as it's supposed to be. You know, it's definitely not desolate. Because when we went there, I mean, it was crazy trying to get around. It was traffic jam all over.
Right.
So it's definitely not desolate. And you know, the one here is desolate. You can count the trees that are there.
Right.
You know, in the Jerusalem of the Amorite, there are trees all over.
Right.
You know, it just doesn't add up.
Okay.
So, you know, it's interesting to learn and to see the difference.
Right.
You know.
I've actually got some pieces. The thing that I found so fascinating is walking down the ancient trails and in the ancient cities, you're still able to see, I won't say artifacts, but pieces of pottery and things like that from the Canaanite city. And these things are just totally and completely fascinating. To be able to reach out and touch history in that manner is, you know, I found it to be just
amazing.
Words can't even describe it. You know, I found some beautiful pieces, which I'll show later in another video. But what I want to do now is I want to ask you, when you first went up to Atarah and you saw what was there, and Hoshua began to connect the dots with you. Now, this wasn't something that was a one-day excursion.
No.
This was something that took days to show you. And what was it that you found most fascinating, Atarah?
I don't know. I can tell you my impression of it is it was very sad. It was very sad because just to know what Zion was, you know,
Yes.
and what it is today, it was saddening. It was saddening, you know, just to think that, you know, it's only a handful of us, or even, you know, now the group for the pilgrimage is a little, you know, bigger. But just to know that
no one is interested?
Nobody. It doesn't seem like that because if they were, they would be here, sort of thing. So it was sad. I know when we went up, it was just, you know, me and Hoshua. So, you know, Mom was in the car, and it was sad because, you know, this is where we're to go for safety and to seek Yahuwah.
Yes.
So if nobody's there, then what does that say about the state of our nation and of our people? That there's, you know.
Well, isn't there a scripture, Atarah, that sort of speaks to that? The fact that only a few would even bother to take the time to come up and to see, you know, and this is the dwelling place of the Most High. So anyone that professes to be a Hebrew Israelite, it would appear to me as though they would at least want to, you know, make the trip.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was my so my impression is, you know, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But I mean, I know our latter end and I know I let her in. So it's just, it's just kind of sad. But I mean, I was impressed with everything. What's still there, and just the connections. If you have the right maps, and that listen to the right people, like Josephus that left us all of these things, you can find your way out.
Well, I wanted to commend you, Atarah. Like I said, I've been watching you. I've been here for a long, long time, and it has warmed my heart to see you all come, because outside of myself, I could count on one hand the number of people that have actually been to these places and had enough interest to even go and try to become educated on this. And the first impression that I got of you when we went down to Engedi and for the baptism, and you went straight in for the plunge, and you had your hyssop in your hand, and I know that water was cold.
It was refreshing.
See, I wasn't, Hoshua didn't give me enough time to get prepared, so I wasn't able to go in and dip. Okay. But I was able, but I do know that water was cold. But for those, like yourself, the serious and the dedicated ones, it was nothing to you. It was all worth it. And you went in and you said, wash me. What was it that you said?
Bathe me and
wash me that I may be clean.
Yes.
That was amazing. That was amazing. It really, really was. And now there were some other things that happened in the recent video that I did. I didn't include some of those other things, but that was a magical experience. It really, really was. And people don't really understand what they're missing.
Exactly. There's so, and I think even one of the sisters, Jamana, she said, when we were driving back, her heart is full.
Yes.
Her heart is so full. You're being fed.
Yes.
You can't explain how, because he said, come to me so that I can, give you rest. When you feel refreshed, when you feel rested, and you're so tired and weary and just, we can't explain it. We cannot explain it.
It is exactly like that. We were filled before we even had the Passover meal. We were filled, and it was a humbling kind of experience as well, because you knew that you were in the space of the holy ones. You were taking on an experience for the first time that brought you so much closer to who you really are and where you came from. So I want to thank you both for taking the time to do this video, and it really means a lot to me, really, for you all to be here. I have to say, I really felt lonely for a long time, so it's wonderful to see your beautiful faces coming home and commemorating Passover in the ancient way. If there is one last thing that you wanted to say, what would that be? Either one of you.
I would like to say that people don't know what they're missing until they come here and see it for themselves. They need to come and seek Yahuwah's face and pray for forgiveness, so that our people can get back to what we're supposed to.
Exactly.
If I had to say something, I would say repent. For the kingdom of the heavens is at hand. And to seek Yahuwah in Zion.
Yes.
While he may be found.
Yes. Very important. And that's a perfect ending to our interview. And maybe one day you'll be able to come back and stay. But for now, I'm sure that you have received some kind of special blessing. And So again, thank you. This is Malea, Atarah, and Mama Florett, right? Signing off from Jerusalem.
Shalom.
Shalom.